All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at metric conversions. Remember, when we're looking at metric conversions, the first thing we want to do is write our King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Remember, the B is your base, and that includes grandma loves me. That is grams, liters, meters. K is kilo, hecto, deca. Remember, the D that has the K in it is closer to the K. Then your base, which is your grams, liters, meters. Then your D on this side, which is deci, centi, and milli. All three of these end with I. Remember, if you have a single letter, like this one right here, that falls under base. Same thing here. That's a G, a single letter, so that is a base. All right, let's get to it. So hopefully this will be a short video. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm just going to do a few because that should be all that you need. Okay, so we're looking at number 4 here. It starts off with 65 decimeters. Remember, it's not that D because that D has a K in it and it's closer to the K. That would be deca. This D is decimeters. Okay, deca would have that K in it, so DK. All right, so we're starting off at this D, and so we're trying to get to kilometers, so we're trying to get all the way to this K. So we start on the letter and we count over. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how many places we're going to slide over from our decimal. Remember, the decimal on a whole number is always on this right side. But it doesn't have to be there because there is nothing after the decimal point. So let's go ahead and insert our decimal right there. Actually, I'll write this one up top. So you have 65. Okay, your decimal starts here, and we'll count over. 1, 2, 3, 4 places, just like we counted over here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, letter to letter. Then we fill the gaps in with zeros. And that'll be our answer. So 0.0065 kilometers. So 65 decimeters is equivalent to 0.0065 kilometers. Let's look at number 6. Okay, so we have 0.58 decagrams, and we're trying to get to centigrams. Okay, so that means we're starting from decagrams. That would be this D. The D, that's deca, has the K sound. And we're trying to get to centigrams, which is that C. It's the only C. So it's easy. So it's starting here, and we're counting letter to letter. Over 1, 2, 3. And so let's write that here. So 0.58, and we just went to the right 3. Again, I'll point that out. So we started here to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're on C. So we do the same thing with the decimal. 1, 2, 3. Decimal is now going to be there, making this a whole number because it's to the right side of the number, and that leaves us with 580 centigrams. All right, last one up here in this section. We're looking at number 9 now. So let's do one with a base in it. So we're going from 920 centigrams to grams. So we're starting on centigrams, which would be here. And remember, a gram, a single letter, is a base, so we're going to the B. Grandma loves me there. So we'll start on the C, we'll count to the left until we get to the B. 1, 2. So we're going to the left with the decimal twice. Okay, so I will write that out here. So 900, not a G, 920. Decimal is starting here. And oh, that's another video here. So the decimal starts there, and we went over how many times? We went over 2 times. So that is 1, 2, and now the decimal is there, and that leaves us with 9.220, if you want to put that, but we don't need the 0. It's the same thing as 9.2. So 920 centigrams is the same thing as 9.2 grams. Let's look at 2 on the bottom here. So let's go with number 10. Okay, so number 10, we have 880 centimeters, and we're trying to get to meters, and we're trying to figure out, is that less than, greater than, or equal to? In order to do that, we have to in order to easily do that, we have to convert these to the same thing, right? So let's go from centimeters to meters. Okay, so we'll go up to the top here, and we start on centimeters, and we're going to a single letter here, which is meters, so we know that's a base. So we're going over from C, 1, 2. So let's write that out, and that was to the left. So 880, and we're going from the left here over twice, 1, 2, and that will be 800, or not 800, but 8.8 meters. So we just converted 880 centimeters to meters, and that is 8.8 meters. So we then have to decide, is 8.8 meters greater than, equal to, or less than 9 meters? And that's pretty easy. That's a smaller number than 9, so we know that that is less than. Let's look at 15. Okay, so 15, we have 2.1 kiloliters, and we have 221 deciliters. So let's convert the kiloliters to deciliters. So in order to do that, we start on kiloliters, and we're going to deciliters, which is the D closer to the K. So we're going over to the right once and twice with the decimal. So let's write that out, 2.1, and we're going over twice, 1, 2, fill it in with a 0, and that leaves us with 210 deciliters. Is 210 deciliters bigger or smaller, or equal to 221 deciliters? That's easy. That is smaller. So it turns out that 2.1 kiloliters is actually smaller, based on our conversion, than 221 deciliters. All right, last one in this section. Let's look at number 13 here. We're looking at 75 grams, comparing it to 7.5 decagrams. Let's convert this 75 grams to decagrams. So that's a single letter, so we know that's a base, and we're going over once to the left to decagrams in order to convert that. So we're sliding the decimal to the left one time. If we do that, we know our decimal is right here. We slide over once here, and now the decimal is going to be there. That'll be 7.5 decagrams. Okay, so 7.5 decagrams is equal to 7.5 decagrams. So 75 grams is equal to 7.5 decagrams. Okay, let's look at number 16 here. It's a word problem, so it's a little bit harder. Let's read. Susan's car has a 40-liter gas tank. Let's underline, 40-liter gas tank. It takes 4 tanks to go to Florida and back. Will she have enough gas if she can only afford to buy 2 hectoliters? Now, her tank is in liters, and they're asking about hectoliters, so we know we have to do some type of conversion. But before we do that, we know it's going to take 4 tanks. So we can go ahead and multiply that out, right? So you have 40 liters times 4, that's going to be equal to 160 liters. Okay, but not hectoliters. We don't know what that is. In order to do that, we have to convert it. So let's get our conversion little helper up here, which is King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, with B as your base. We know we're talking about a base here because that's a single letter. So we know we're starting at the B, and we're trying to go to hectoliters, so we're going over once, over twice. So we're going to slide our decimal over twice. It's going to be there. So it's going to be 1.6 hectoliters. And so out of 4 tanks, that'll be 1.6 hectoliters. And they're asking if she can make the trip if she buys 2 hectoliters. Well, 1.6 is less than, let me draw here, is less than 2 hectoliters. So if it only takes 1.6, but she can afford to buy 2, that means yes, she will have enough to make the trip. Blah, 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 right? Miss Dawson would have wrote that whole thing out. But I'm lazy. All right. Moving along. So you have number 17 here. Let's look at that one. 5-year-old Michelle weighs 75 decagrams. What is her weight in centigrams? That's pretty easy, right? So we have that 75, and that's in decagrams. So we go up here and find that. D with the K is closer to K. And we're trying to go to centigrams. So that means we're going to the right. 1, 2, 3 times. So the decimal to the right 3 times. Let's get down here and write that. So that's 75. Decimal's already there. And so we're going to the right 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And your decimal is currently there. And you fill in the gaps with 0. That's 1, 2, 3. And so we know we just converted that to 75,000 centigrams. So she weighs 75,000 centigrams. Not very hard at all, right? Okay, so we'll look at the last one here. This one has a little bit more to it. So let's read. The doctor told Cheryl to drink 4 liters, underline, of water per day. After 7 days, how many milliliters of water does Cheryl drink? And so let's get to writing here. So you have 4 liters is what she's drinking, and we're talking about 7 days. So we know we're going to multiply 4 times 7, and that's going to be equal to 28 liters. Okay, and so we know we have to go from liters to, what are we going to? Milliliters. So let's go up here. Liters is a single letter. That is a base. Okay, so we're going from liters to milliliters. We know we're going over once, twice, and a third time. So we're going over 1, 2, 3, drop in 2 zeros. That's going to be 4,700. What am I doing here? Go back. I'm done. I know we're going. Our decimal's here. We already converted to liters. So that's once, twice, 3 times. And that's going to be a 0 there, a 0 there, and a 0 there. So we know we have 28,000 liters. Right? Wrong. We have, that would be milliliters, because we just converted it. Guys, pay attention. All right, so we have 28,000 milliliters. Okay, so what we're trying to figure out now is, let's go to our pointer here. We have 28,000 milliliters. and that's how much she drank. But if she has to drink a minimum of 80,000 milliliters before she can participate in sports, how many days should it take? Okay, so if she's drinking that much, we know we have to take our 28,000 divided by 7, because that's the number of days. And that's equal to 4,000 milliliters a day. But we're trying to get to 80,000. So we take our 80,000, and we know we're doing 4,000 a day. We have to divide 80,000 by 4,000 to figure out how many days it's going to take. And so 80,000 divided by 4,000 is, what am I doing? Is 20 days. And so when we write this out, we can say, to answer the first part of the question, it's asking how many milliliters does she drink? Well, we already answered that with the 28,000. So she drank 28,000 milliliters, period. And over here, we know it'll take 20 days for her to drink 80,000. And so we just write it. It would take 20 days to drink 80,000 milliliters. Milliliters. And that's that. Metric conversions. Pause, play, rewind, watch again, and learn.